Hello, I'm going to do a live demo of my test case SVM classifier. So first thing is to extract this. And we'll go ahead and CD over to that. Okay, so the faulty program that we want to run our test cases against is this compare nums.java, and I'll show that to you. Okay, so we have a program that takes two inputs, x and y, and it's going to print out true if x is less than y, and it's intended to print out false if x is greater than y. You can see the fault is right here where it returns true in either case. So first step is to run the run test cases.bat file, and we run it with parameter 1 right here, which is going to generate the traced program, and let's see, we give it the file name, and finally the list of test cases we want to run against the traced version. Okay. Alright, so I'll explain this a little bit. The first thing it does right up here is it creates the traced version, which shows the execution trace of the program. And let's see, I'll bring that up in an editor to show it more clearly. Okay. Here we go, and we see the program has inserted these print statements in order to track the execution trace of it. Okay. Alright, so now what happened next is, alright, it created that, it compiled it, and then it ran the test cases against the traced version. And here I'll show you, let's see, this is what the list looks like. You see we've got 10 test cases, and these ones and zeros mean 1 means this test case passes, and a 0 means that it failed. And a test case looks like this. It just has the parameters that are going to go into the program. And let's see, this one passes because this is going to be read into the first variable in the second, so 1 is less than 2, that's going to give us true. And test case 2, on the other hand, we have 10 and 7, so 10 is not less than 7. We're expecting to get a false, but we get a true. Okay. And you can see here it executed all of those test cases, and I'll show you the results right here. So it shows what statements were executed, and this is the value that it prints out. And oops. See, as I said before, test case 2 fails, and we can see that the execution trace is different on these two test cases. Okay, so after all of those test cases are run, it creates a data set file. Let's see. And this is what the SVM classifier is actually going to use. This first digit right here, that's the class label. 1 is passing and 0 is failing. And this first digit here, 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 and here are the attributes of this. And the attributes that I've used are the statements that have been hit. So from the trace program here, we can see that there are 6 statements, so we have 6 attributes. And the values here are it's a 1 if that statement has been executed, and a 0 if that statement has not been executed. So, and kind of an aside right here, you can notice that attribute or statement 4 here correlates exactly to the class labels. So right there, just by looking at that, we can identify where the problem is. And if you look over here at the code, statement 4, let's see. Okay, so when statement 4 has been executed, it passes, so that's correct. But when statement 4 is not executed, then it doesn't. And so that would lead us to look at this part of the code, which is where the fault is. Okay, so now we want to predict whether a new test case coming in is going to pass or going to fail. So we have this file here, our mystery test case with these numbers here. So, and we want to know if that's going to pass or fail. So we run this script, predict test case.bat, and we give it the file name and the test case. Okay, so we see that ran successfully. Alright, and this right here, this accuracy equals 0%, that's our output for the SVM. What this means is that it is predicted that this test case will fail. The library that I used, LIBSVM, requires you to put a guess in for the classification before you run it. And I used 1 for all of the default guesses when predicting. So when it says accuracy equals 0%, that means it guessed that it would pass, but it actually classified it as a failure. Okay. So now let's look at another unknown test case. This one here. So, and we know from talking about what the fault in the program is, what's going to that this test case should pass. So let's see what the SVM says about it. Accuracy is 100%. So the default guess that I have in there is that it'll pass, and it actually did pass. So that's it for my demo. Thanks for watching.